¿Cómo estás, mi reina?
Hola, los panecillos y las sopas saben como el número 50, por eso debes suscribirte a nuestro canal.
Sí.
What's up, everybody? And welcome back to, I was about to say the hot spot. Welcome back to the hot take, where we give you guys opinions, whether if you want them or not. And today, as you guys can obviously tell, we have a very special guest here. She's actually a Hotspot alumni, and just an all-around dope person and actress, uh, painting?
And drawing.
Yes. Painting and drawing artist, taking commissions now. Christina Mancari, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Of course. So today, obviously Demetrius, he couldn't be here today, but what we are going to be looking into today is Encanto. We don't really cover a lot of Disney movies on this channel, but I think Encanto is a good introduction into covering Disney movies because it seems like there's this big new revolution when it comes to like Disney movies from like back in the 90s versus like Disney movies now. And one of the reasons why I like highly want to have Christina pop in and like do this one is because one, if anybody's peeping, like, the Instagrams, the posts, like, that she loves Encanto. So I'm like, okay, like, we gotta kind of, like, link up and talk about this, you know what I'm saying? Because I've got to see it twice. How many times have you gotten to see Encanto?
I lost track.
Let's just, like, start off with impressions. What would you say overall, how you felt about Encanto?
Well, overall,
Mm-hmm.
it really snuck its way into my favorite Disney movie because, like, into one of them, I suppose. I can never choose one.
It changes. That's fair.
But it kind of snuck its way into it because, like you said, like you, the first time I watched it, I wasn't. Well, I did watch it at night, but I wasn't as tired.
Yeah.
But it kind of, a lot of it kind of went over my head.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of see it, and it almost seems a little shallow at first when you first watch it. And then it kind of sticks in your brain, like all the songs. And you catch yourself like, don't talk about Bruno.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course.
And then you rewatch it. And I've learned that every time I rewatch it, I find something new.
Mm-hmm.
And then you really see the depth of the movie because you just peel one layer and there's another. And it just keeps going deeper and deeper. And it should be of no surprise that because it's something that Lin-Manuel Miranda created, so that should be no surprise. Yeah. But it really kind of took me by surprise how it snuck up on you like that. And how deep it really was.
And, honestly, like, it was something that it snuck up on me too, like the exact same way. Like, at first I didn't quite understand what was going on. There's magic and there's like this enchanted house. There's all of this big family that like I'm trying to keep track of, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know why. I don't know why I should care. My first viewing, it just made me be like, I don't know what to think about. But that same idea, it was like there was the songs that kept sticking with me the whole time. I'm like, man, like these songs make me want to watch it again. I'm like, maybe I was missing something. And the second time, like, and the second time I watch it, I'm like, okay, there's some things in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, the music was great. The characters actually are very much likable. And, by means of, like, the story, it is a very, heartwarming message and a heartwarming story. Again, for me, like, I think it's kind of, like, a little slightly above, kind of the mid-tier. But for you, where would you say it kind of ranks by means of, being a Disney movie?
For me, it's really top tier for me. I mean, like I said, it snuck its way into my favorites. It has to be top 5 favorites for me personally. I really enjoyed all the talent that came together to make it. I really enjoy the depth. I really enjoy how they kind of do make it appear shallow, kind of like a family image. You know what I mean? Because at least in certain families, each individual has an image that they need to or like a role that they need to maintain, and you have to maintain that perfect role, but underneath every family has problems and issues, but you try not to show that in front of other people because we're a happy, perfect family. So I kind of like that parallel with the movie and with the actual family. I don't know, there's just so many different aspects that I can't get my head around that really make it top 5 for me.
Okay.
And I mean top 5 with Hercules, Lion King, Moana.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. You're even even the 90s shit ain't stacking. Wow.
Well, no, not that it's not sagging, but that it's equal.
Yeah, that is okay. That's very interesting. That being said, I think final thoughts for a non-spoiler review, I would say that I would still definitely recommend taking a look at it. It actually is a pretty decent time, and it's a story that you don't typically see Disney do. So I would definitely recommend it. I think obviously Christina would also recommend it. So yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna say, I also wanted to say, I'm not a parent, but what I've noticed about this movie with a lot of the parents that I know or see on social media is that they're getting really into the movie too. It kind of snuck up on them, and then they'll be dancing. Parents are loving it, which is unique too, because I know when Frozen came out, all my friends who are parents were like, if I have to hear Let It Go one more time, I'm gonna shoot myself in the head. And I'm like, and here all the parents are like, we don't talk about Bruno. So I mean, I think that says something about the movie too, is it's not just focused on kids, the whole family could get into, which is said for a lot of Disney movies, but this one,
well, this one definitely was, for sure. So yeah, obviously go watch it. It's good. It's definitely good. So that pretty much does it for our non-spoiler free version. Now, if you want to stick around for the spoilers, and all the in-depth breakdown that is Encanto, you're gonna have to stick around. We're gonna give you guys a little bit of time to leave if you don't want any spoils. In the meantime, enjoy this TikTok, and if you stick around for that, well, we warned you.
Who would win in a fight between Greg and Demetrius?
Welcome back. You obviously don't mind spoils, so here we are. Okay. Now we can dissect the movie. That is a task. But to summarize the movie, Mirabelle. It took me a minute to even get that name. Mirabelle, everybody in her family has these gifts that this candle, that this enchanted candle gave them way back. I don't even know what time period it's
well, she said 50 years ago.
Okay.
Antonio's getting his door.
Right.
So it starts off 50 years after the miracle.
Okay. So a miracle occurs.
Which,
and
time out too. Miracle, Mirabelle, get it? 'Cause she's the real miracle.
So because she's the real
Mirabelle.
right.
Sorry.
Which I didn't get that either. Like the ending, I had no idea like how. We'll get into that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sorry. I always do.
Yeah, no. Like that's good. Miracle, Mirabelle. Yeah. But so basically there's this candle, like it's enchanted, it's giving people in the family, in the Madrigal's family, abilities. Once they reach a certain age, they're able to kind of open a door, and it allows them to do amazing things. So each family member has like a special gift, butchering names, but Isabella, who is Mirabelle, which one's the youngest?
Mirabelle is
okay.
the young. There's the 3 daughters. She's the youngest.
Right. We're not going to go through the whole family. There's a whole song about it. That's like a really good one. Family Madrigal. You should take a listen. But no, you're good. It gets stuck in your head. Yeah,
it's like
yeah. No, it is, and that's something to kind of attest. But basically, like her whole family has all these abilities, right? And she doesn't have any, and she feels, like it's sort of kind of like she's like an outsider, but kind of not.
Like the black sheep.
Right, just that one who, like, the grandma's looking at her like, oh, some people, have difficulties with life. That probably is going to be how you are. And, while the rest of the family is out here, like, being extra cool and awesome, and she looks at them that way. She's like, you're perfect, and you're super strong, like, what do y'all got to whine about, until like she actually like talks to them and understands that there's it's pretty interesting, like how you can kind of go in depth with like what each family member is actually dealing with in regards to their powers and abilities.
And that goes back to what I was saying too, where like you try to seem perfect and then you give that perfect image, but underneath there's so much more reality that like every member was going through exactly what you just said. Yeah. So it's like from every character to the story overall, it kind of just it expands. And like I said, it expands in a pretty interesting way, in which we'll get into that. But basically, they go through this whole kind of situation of talking about why they don't speak about the Uncle Bruno, and that kind of carries over until into Mirabelle trying to figure out like why some people's powers start fading. And in short, the house kind of goes through a metamorphosis. It like breaks down entirely. Mirabelle talks to the grandmother's name I'm blanking on. Abuela? Yeah. What's her name? Does that mean grandma? Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm trying to, but they do say her. Okay, go on.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Alma. Abuela Alma.
Abuela Alma. So Mirabelle talks to Abuela Alma multiple times, like, and it seems like it's just this pot, like, slowly building and building until it just like explodes. Which literally. Another great analogy for like pressure. Which is another song that they have in there. Just lit. It's a dope ass song. But like there's this big like piece of pressure that's just like building and building and building amongst each family individually and as a whole. You almost kind of see it during the dinner scene, where they come to find out that that Mirabelle has a prophecy that Bruno saw that ultimately is going to dictate if whether or not like she is the reason why like people's powers are going wonky, and the miracle seems to be like leaving. And eventually, again, when everything kind of like explodes, Mirabelle is like sitting back, reflecting, being like, I just wanted to do, I just wanted to help the family out. And but like there's this big, huge like reconciliation between Abuela? All right, between Abuela and Mirabelle, and you ultimately, just come to find out that like, everything's cool. Bruno, like, he pops up, and like, even though nobody spoke about him, like he's cool. He's coming back. It was a very heartwarming moment. But with that in mind, let me just talk. I know I've said that it's like mid tier for me. Or slightly above mid-tier, and these are the reasons why. First off, like the characters, very likable. The songs were great. The story was decent. Thing is, I am, and maybe you can consider this to be a little biased, but I am so used to Disney taking me on these big grandiose adventures. When Mirabelle went to look for Bruno, she literally goes inside, like most of the adventures that take place, they're all in the house. It's because these doors are enchanted and, and things like that. So like some of the places like bigger than, they're bigger than what they seem to be. Like, it's a house, but it's an enchanted house. So, like...
Yeah, because each room is its own little, like, dimension almost.
Yeah, exactly. That's, exactly. So, like, when Mirabelle went to look for Bruno, and she went to his door, and it's this big-ass, like, Indiana Jones sand desert type thing going on, like, I was like, alright, cool. Where's she gonna go next? And after that, it was mostly just, like, back in the house, like, like everything was literally in the house. Now, I'm not saying that I count that as like a negative. It's just different for me. So that's one of the reasons why I was like, I thought, like, because the thing is like, I actually was hoping that they were going to explore more of like the city area, like, around, rather than like just the home.
See, I thought she was gonna go, I mean, she does end up going to the river, but I thought from the beginning that's exactly where she was gonna go to, like, and I thought we were gonna get an explanation of the magic and the candle.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I agree. I thought she was gonna go on an adventure. And figure it out, but then she just goes deeper within the house. And her family and herself. Yeah,
and I guess that's what, like,
it throws you off.
It does, and and maybe that, like, that's why I needed to, like, talk to somebody about it, because I'm like, I don't get it, like, and that's another thing. I wanted to know, where did the miracle come from? Like, where did, like, where did this candle suddenly just, like, boom, magic, and I mean, like,
I wish they explained that more.
And also, like,
but that also goes to where it's like the magic wasn't important. It's like they were who were important. I think that's why they did that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I can tend to be nitpicky at some.
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying I can see.
Yeah, but that's also why it's like, I mean, once you kind of get past the whole, like, okay, I understand it's magic, move on. Magic is magic, so, like, something like that I'm totally fine with. Again, like, I'm just like, okay, well, like, and again, once you kind of accept these things, it's not like that, it's not something that's right. It's not right. Well, yeah, it's
like
not
slightly disappointing, but then when you accept it, it's not
right. When you and because the thing is that it's not like the magic is, and I mean, this is actually kind of a testament to something that they were saying in the movie. They were like, like, the Abuela was like holding on so close to the miracle that she was starting to lose sight of why the miracle was needed and the family. So, like, And that's kind of another thing that actually I would consider to be a positive. I want to say it's a positive. There wasn't really a villain in this movie. There wasn't really like someone who really wanted to stop Mirabelle. Like, basically in most writing, you have what's considered a protagonist and an antagonist. Someone who wants to get something done and someone who wants to stop them from doing that. Typically, it's cast to say that, well, there's a villain in this, there's a villain in this that has their own ulterior motives. There really isn't one in Encanto. Thank you. They kind of hype Bruno up to be like the person that's like, no, don't talk, like, you shouldn't do that. Or they'll be like, or they'll kind of hype up like, because at first I was like, I wonder if Abuela is gonna like turn into this kind of, well, not turn into like a witch or something, but just be like this cold woman because she felt that she needed to protect her family. But the thing is, it's like I wouldn't consider Abuela to be like a villain. She was just somebody who wanted to protect her family and wanted to protect the miracle.
Shit, she got a little lost. But she wasn't a bad person,
right? And I would say honestly,
in fact, she's kind of a really good person. Like, making her whole family use her gifts for the community.
Yeah.
What parents would make their family do that?
Mm-hmm. Again, the characters were definitely a big selling point. Mm-hmm. The music was lit. Like, almost every song like had some type of kind of like bop to it, and it was like switching genres like mid song. Like, Isabella got bars too. Like, she'll jump into like this big like singing number and then jump into like a small kind of little rap thing, and then it's like, whoa, didn't see that coming. Okay. And so like they had like this kind of like urban hip hop thing, like kind of like jumping in during like some pieces of some of the songs, and it was dope. It was dope. Another thing though, that I would consider to be, well, I would say it's something that I'm starting to see them do more of. And this is the thing, it's so weird because it's like, I can't count it as a negative. It's just like, it's a different choice, Like, what they've been doing a lot with a lot of movies is they put like new generation, new way of thinking versus old generation and old way of thinking. Right? Like,
which is so relevant to current current society.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's what Coco, a lot of that was like. It was like, remember me, like caring about the past to better the future, and like, of course, it was almost like the reverse of Encanto, where you have a boy who's trying to go off on adventures and he wants to do music and things like that, and the family is saying like, no, don't be singing music, don't worry about like your history or anything like that, just focus on the now. But what I'm saying, like, and in this case like everybody cares about like your family and your present, but like it's also kind of a matter of like Mirabelle is looking towards the future. She's obviously looking at like, well, what is gonna happen? Like the house is like breaking apart, people's powers is acting weird, like, don't you guys want to question that? But like, most of the family is like, there's nothing wrong, don't worry about it, sweep it under the rug, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, no, we have to focus on this. So that's what I'm saying. It's like the like a lot of what and I really do like that point you made about the fact that like a lot of other Disney movies has their main protagonist go off on some type of adventure, you know, but Mirabelle, she had like a brief moment of adventure and then jumps back into, you know, like her family is there the entire time, you know.
But that's not even like an adventure. She just kind of like went back to her roots.
Right.
Because it was almost, because like after the house is destroyed, everyone's lost.
Right.
It's almost like she just goes straight back to the roots. And that's also what helps her understand her grandmother better that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that also helped her grandma too, and you know, because to me, I'm like, it makes sense why Abuela like probably never goes back over to that spot because she's probably like, I've been so focused on like making sure my family is like, you know, is said and that the miracle is safe. I don't want to go back to this spot and like experience the same horrific event that gave us the miracle, you know. Yeah. So it is.
She even says that she's like, I haven't been back here since.
Abuelo. Yeah. Yeah. No. And it actually is very sad. Oh, well, you know what? I'll say one thing. If there was a villain, I'm saying it's that guy who was trying to get with Isabella. The guy who went to dinner.
Oh, Mariano?
Yeah. Like,
oh, I have so much to say about that. Go on.
Yeah, no.
No, I want to hear your point first.
Okay, so here's my thing.
I never thought he was a bad guy.
So, well, yeah, thing is this. He's not a bad guy. But a lot of the time, most of the time, he was crushing hard on being a part of that family. If it wasn't Isabella, it was
I don't think that's true.
I think it is. So,
because he had a crush on Isabella because she was like the perfect, you know, she was like the perfect flower. Like,
yeah.
Like of course he was like always admiring her.
Yeah.
I don't think. I don't know.
Well, see,
I disagree, but I want to hear more.
No, that's right. Okay, so but this is why I say that. Like, so one of the first things you see him do, you know, they're talking about the whole family, right? Nah,
he's trying to get in the madrigal.
Yeah, he's trying. No, I mean he is though. He is trying to become a part of that family, because first off, like they already in the beginning of the movie, they already established that he loves Isabella, you know, because she's perfect and everything, right? So he gets over there, and one of the first things that they mention when he finally arrives and, you know, like talks to her, even though like I don't even think they had like a lot of conversation right prior, like they're like, whoa, he's expecting 5 kids, and Isabella's like, what? Okay. Right? But after that, after she accidentally hurts him and everything, he goes back. We don't see him like at all for a while. Until like the end where everybody comes back, right? And at that point Isabella is like, okay, let me just tell you, I'm not really that interested, but here's my cousin. You know, here's my cousin who probably, you know, would like you. So the cousin pops in. The cousin's like, I actually do like you. We should, you know what I'm saying, like try to do something. And he's just like, okay. So he literally just accepts her. And before, like, not even like 10 seconds after he's like, yeah, I'll date your cousin, he's like, will you marry me? And she's like, no. Yeah, slow down. But that's what I'm saying. But the thing is like, he was just saying, I have so much love to give. I'm like, okay. Like, me and D, we had our own kind of separate joke for that. Because it was like, I'm like, this dude just really wants to get in this family. Like, he really wants to get into this family. And I'm like, man, like, I mean, I get it, because he's like, oh, I'm so young and I want my own family and everything. And I get it. Like, it is like there is a sense of innocence in that. But it's also kind of like, damn, bro, like, you need to, do you need a minute? Like, you need to just kind of chill, bro. Like, he's like he hasn't even talked to these girls, not even, barely got to even meet them, and he's like, hey yo, like, when I marry into this family, we having 5 kids, and she's like, okay, calm down, here's my cousin. He's like, oh, your cousin? Alright, yeah, like, is you a Madrigal, right? Alright, yo, like, well, you ready to get married? And she's like, we just met like 2 minutes ago. What are you talking about? So that's my opinion. Okay. I'm not gonna.
No, I'm gonna counter that because
no. Please do.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna start off with saying that like, it's just him and his mom, because she says when the cousin's like, you talk so loud, you take care of your mother and you make her proud. Like, she obviously has been hearing like him every day with his mother. You know what I mean? So she knows how he is. That's why she has the crush on him, which her uncle Bruno prophesied that her cousin was going to marry the guy that she loved. So she already kind of did have a secret love and crush on him, but he was reserved for the perfect cousin by the grandmother. That was all an arranged marriage between the grandmother and his mother.
Oh,
that was a complete arranged marriage, because she even said, Isabella even said, I don't even want to marry him, I'm just doing that for the family.
Right. Yeah.
But the cousin actually does like him, because she hears him every day. She knows what he's like. So. Oh,
that's true. Yeah, the cousin.
I think him wanting a lot of kids isn't because he wants to be a Madrigal and he wants a bunch of Madrigal babies. I think it's because he's the only child to a mother.
Oh,
and he wants a lot of kids. You know what I mean? And I don't think that it's. I think the reason he was so infatuated with Isabella is because I kind of got that he was a little shallow, like a little stupid, but like he was really into his looks, you know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's what attracted him to Isabella, because obviously the first thing you see about her, she's beautiful and she grows flowers.
Perfection. Right.
Yeah, so like he gets this infatuation with this idealization. So it's like, I think that's what it was. And then when he realized that she didn't want him, he was upset, and he's like, well, I'm a good guy, like I have a lot of love to give.
Right.
And then the cousin comes up and is like, I actually do know that. So if you give me a chance, will you notice me? And then he's like, wow, like I see you now. So like I see, like I didn't think about what you were saying at all, because I saw it as like he was kind of like this big lug who took care of his mother and wanted to marry the special family because they were special, and then but the cousin actually did. So that's how I saw it.
I mean, no, that is fair. And like, I mean, that
if
was
you think about it, it was just a small town. I mean, how many options does he really have? And of course he's gonna want like the best of the best. I mean, who wouldn't want?
Well, yeah. I mean, like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I never thought of it as him having like ulterior motives. It's more so just that like he was so quick to because the thing is like he was so quick to like be like, yo,
switch.
To switch. Like after, I think
that was more in because they were trying to rush to sum everything up.
I mean, I definitely think there was a lot that was
fix this. Like, it was the Fix It song. So, like, the arranged marriage needed to be fixed and set on the proper course.
Right.
With, like, I don't know. That's just...
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's why I guess, if anything, it's like, I don't know, maybe it just means that I wish I would have seen more of him outside of just, like, in that particular setting. Like, I wish I could at least even seen him have a conversation with Isabella, or with
I would have liked to see that.
Or what's her name? Dolores, yes. Or even like a conversation of a song of like Dolores being like, man, why can't he see me? Like just something that was just a little bit more like, oh, okay. So, like, it feels a little more like it makes sense why she's like, I know that this is quick. Hey, yo, like, what's up? You know what I'm saying? So, there's a point where Bruno pops in and actually, like, you know, they're like, he's, you know, talking to Mirabel about, you know, basically what his life has been like. He's been living in the inner walls of the house the entire time, all because he saw a prophecy that he knew his mom was not going to, he knew his mom was going to take the wrong way.
He wanted to protect Mirabel.
Yeah. And literally because of that, he spent years in that house, in like
at least
chilling
10.
with rats. Yeah. Chilling with rats, you know, and it's even, to make it even sadder, he can hear them say, we don't talk about Bruno. It's like, well,
actually, I saw a video where he's in the background while they're singing too. He's
wow.
sneaking through the house, so he hear. And if you think about the final song where he's like repeating what they were saying and said, I'm sorry about this, that's not how I meant, because he heard everything. Yeah.
Which Bruno's power is, for those that, again, it's kind of hard to keep up.
If you're watching at this point, I feel like you know.
If you watch it at this point, you know. But it's just, you know, it's just to say that, like,
he can see the future.
Yeah, he could see the future, and it was, I mean, and again, like, you know, it was something where, like, it was the future, like, the future was always something that, like, people apparently hated. They hated to hear their future. Some of it was like stuff that's like, I can't control this. I can't. It's just, I'm just telling you that
it was out of his control.
Right.
He was just relaying the message.
Yeah, relaying the message.
And he's like, you know, this is just my power.
And I think
messenger.
Yeah, no, and I think that's another kind of like metaphor again for the people who was holding on to the past and the present versus the people who were looking to the future. If you notice, like, the only person who wanted, right? Like, you notice the only person who wanted to know about the future was Mirabel. No one else wanted to know, like not even in the town. No one wanted to know, like, what their future was. Like, for me, it's like, okay, there's this guy who can predict the future for me. Should I know more about my future, or should I be oblivious to it, or whatever? The only reason why they were considering to be a negative is because they were only talking about the negative. They were only talking about, like, well, Bruno told me that I'd lose my hair, and I did. You know, man, that sucks. But, like, you know, it's not like someone came forward and was like, Bruno told me that, you know, I was gonna get pregnant and have a healthy baby boy, exactly what I wanted, and lo and behold, I got one. Like, you know what I'm saying?
If you think about it, that power is meant to, like, warn you, like, pre-warn you of bad things that, I mean, you don't, like, what's the point of that power if it's just gonna tell you the good things that are gonna happen?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because every power kind of had a purpose.
Yeah.
And it was to warn you so you could be I don't know.
I mean, well, see, the thing is like, I actually like that. That's a really nice sentiment, because that means that if his power was actually just to warn people about bad things that, you know, could occur, that's interesting, because that means that, like, the people who were receiving those futures were only focusing on the messenger and not the message. Exactly. So, like, as opposed to, because my thing is, like, if that's the case, that makes more sense why they say, don't talk about Bruno. Don't like, nobody talk to Bruno. Bruno doesn't exist, because you don't want to hear that bad warning. You don't want to hear, you know, you don't want to hear you don't want to hear
the truth,
right,
nowadays.
No, true.
Like, a lot of people like being told what they want to hear. You know what I mean? And I think that's exactly what the movie's showing, is that sometimes the people who are real and honest, and they're not all perfect and flowers, they're bad and good, you know. And it's like, that's the reality of it. Here's the truth. You don't want it?
You don't
it's
want
not
it?
my fault. Like, that's how
life
is.
And it's like, you asked me to come. I didn't come to you saying, hey, yo.
Yeah, because he had to go in the sand tower to get every one of those prophecies. It's not like just Tia Peppa, where, like, a cloud pops over his head. Like, he had to actually go through all that. So so yeah, I mean, those were but
I think that actually elevates the movie a bit for me, because
definitely,
because it's because again, everything is just not what it originally seems. Not even for it being a Disney movie, it's not what it seems. Like, there are tons and tons of layers to Encanto, but you have to it's like they're not going to tell you, though. You have to kind of dissect it yourself.
I even had to look it up. I had to look up some things, because I didn't understand why the house was being I didn't understand why the house was cracking or being destroyed. I didn't understand where the candle came from.
Yeah. Candle Origins definitely was what?
Well,
why did it come now?
Love,
yeah.
And wanting
it's
to protect your family.
Right. It's okay, so it all came from a random need. I mean, and the thing was the candle wasn't just working for the individuals or the house. It was moving mountains. It was creating land all around them, and apparently it killed the enemies that killed
the abuelo.
Right, that killed Abuelo. So it was just yeah, it's just
what's going on?
What's going on? What is this grand power that they received? And the fact that Mirabelle, I guess, was her magic was being the essence of the magic in itself, because that's what was able to.
That was another thing they didn't explain, but I read. Okay, so what I read is she's basically the new abuela. So when abuela dies, she's, because if you think about it, the abuela has no power either.
Yeah.
I mean, she's the one who created the candle. She's the founder of Encanto, so no one questions her, which is also why I think she projects on Mirabelle, because Mirabelle also doesn't have any powers. So I think she projects that on her granddaughter. So Mirabelle's the new abuela, because when she opens the door at the end, the house comes alive. That's abuela's power. She built the Encanto to protect them. So she technically does have a power at the end.
Yeah, it's she has. She
lights up the door. She's.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I'm okay. It I guess that's what makes the most amount of sense. Because I figured, she sounds like she is the new abuela. So, but again, that's why I say that's you kind of have to be either a really critical thinker, or or you look it up, or you do both. You have to do both. You have to. It's great. Yeah, I was saying it was mid tier. It's above mid tier. It's just you kind of have to think a little bit more about it, though, and think more about what those nuances mean, because it is a very layered. It is a very layered story. It's just it's hard to find it. I would say even after the first two times, you have to probably look at it, you have to think about it, you have to talk about it, and so it's not really that much that changed from when I was saying it earlier. You should go see it. Go see Encanto. It actually is a very layered Disney movie, more than I thought. Yeah, all
the talent that came together to make that made magic, from the animators to the actors to Lin-Manuel Miranda, who was just a freaking genius.
A beast.
I mean,
absolute beast. Yeah,
to get you really have to dissect this movie to get the genius of it.
That being said, thank you guys so much for sticking by and watching this very philosophical review of Encanto. If you like what you saw, make sure to like, share, subscribe, click the bell for notifications on all of our videos. Make sure to leave a comment. What were your thoughts on Encanto?
Yes.
What are some things that you wanted to see? What are some things that you didn't want to see? What are some things that just talk about the movie?
The movie. I mean, the more perspectives we have, the deeper we can go.
Absolutely. So if you want to go deep in the reviews, or
if you want to go deep.
You put that comment in there.
Disney friendly.
So,
sorry.
No, you're good. So thank you, Christina, for coming by and.
Thanks for having me.
Of
this
course,
was so
of
exciting.
course. No,
These are
absolutely.
my favorite kind of discussions. I love the philosophical, psychological, family trauma, social relevant,
social relevance,
modern,
evolutionary.
Yeah.
Metaphors. More things like this to come. So any closing remark that you'd have?
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you.
Thank you.